This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3, lovely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht Edition live on Facebook. Tonight we are joined by the lovely people from Rozana Food Truck, vegan food, and we will have our usual fun and games with This Day in History, Matt Goes Dutch, and Tracy's Tidbits. So stay tuned. Bye, everyone.
Yay! Good evening, everybody. Hello, nice to see you.
Hello.
Welcome to the Maastricht Edition. And Tracy, have you recovered?
Yes, I have. Yesterday it was St. Patrick's Day.
It was.
It was, but just like everywhere else in the world, it was quite a low-key affair in Casa Tracy yesterday, I'm afraid. So just one tipple of Bailey's was had at the end of the day. I did wear green, though, and forced Dave to wear green, and the cat got dressed in green. So we made an effort. And it was nice, but I had some nice messages from home, and a lot of the stuff in Ireland was also kind of moved online, and they were doing drive-by parades instead of actual parades. So it was all this type of stuff. But yes, National Day, tick, gone for another year.
But did you get your Guinness out?
I had the Guinness in the fridge, but the day got away from me. And at 10 o'clock at night, I said, I'll have a little tipple of Bailey's. I couldn't face the Guinness at 10 o'clock at night. It was my bedtime. So I might have that at the weekend because it is Super Saturday. Anyone know why?
What does that mean?
It's the rugby, yes.
Wales
So
is doing well, right? We're going to win.
Wales are going to win. Wales are cracking. Alan Wynne-Jones, love him. But yes, go Alan. Yes, but it's this weekend. It's kind of the final round of games. There's one game that was postponed last weekend that will happen again after the tournament, but I don't think it's going to have too much impact on the winners, who most likely 100% will be Wales. So well done. Hurrah! Ireland have been terrible. We need to brush up, I tell you. So we're currently, I think, in second place on the table, but some other teams still have to kind of go, and it's all got to kind of reshuffle. But Wales are way ahead. But I may have my Guinness on Saturday when I'm enjoying the rugby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as we've already established in previous shows, it's just the rugby players I like. I mean, the game itself, yeah. Well, whatever. Just bring on a rugby player or 10, and I'm more than happy. And Matt, are you going to be watching the rugby? Really?
No.
Okay, so it's all on Tracy. That's fine.
No problem. It's really weird. I've never been the sporty person of any group, so I'm happy to take that one for the team. For the team. Boom, boom. So I shall report back next week on the result and a little update about the Rugby Six Nations.
Excellent. Well, we are so looking forward to that, obviously. But I tell you what, we've got to look forward to on the show this evening. Rozana Food Truck is going to be stopping by. They're going to pull up onto your screen.
I see what you did
and
there.
They're going to be serving some hot and tasty tips for us as far as vegetarian and vegan food is concerned.
Yummy.
And maybe they can answer that question we had in
vegan cheese.
I have to tell you something funny about this, okay? So for those of you who have been tuning in for some time, we're a bit confused when it comes to vegan cheese as to, well, can you actually find any decent vegan cheese? So when I had actually been corresponding with the people from Rozana Food Truck, I mentioned that we would like to discuss vegan cheese. And I had a response of, well, what exactly do you want to talk about as far as vegan cheese is concerned? And I think they were a bit worried we would get too scientific. So not on this show. We just want to know whether it's worth eating because we can't find any decent vegan cheese. So hopefully they will be able to answer that question for us.
Fingers crossed. Yesterday, I had vegan mayonnaise.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually pretty tasty. You would never know the difference.
There you go.
Put a French fry in there. I should read the back of the thing.
Yes, but I bet it's chickpeas.
It probably is.
The water, if you like heat it up,
yes.
it's like an egg.
Yes.
Yeah. I will check the back later and report back next week.
Okay.
Yes. We need these questions answered.
Yeah. If anyone out there knows, let us know.
So apparently, it's National Awkwardness Day. Or
Awkward Moments Day. Seems like we'll already have another one. Yeah.
There you go. Awkward Moments Day. Firstly, I'm not actually sure why we should be having an awareness day for awkward moments, because
I think it's an important thing to celebrate. I mean, like, you feel bad about them at the time, but afterwards it's hilarious, and for everyone else it's hilarious. It's like a
Well, I think that depends what it is, isn't it? I mean,
I have a cracker if you want to hear it.
Oh, Matt's got a cracker, Joe. Tell us, Matthew.
I once worked in a hamburger shop in Maastricht in the kitchen, and one day I was cooking and I said, okay, I need to go to the toilet. So I'm going to go to the toilet. So it was in one of these old buildings on...
Don't say where the street is.
No, it's not there anymore. It was the street from the bridge on the Vic side, the Vicar Broekstraat or something like that it's called. So it's one of those old long buildings. So it was at the very back of this toilet, in this tiny like cabin basically. So I went in, did my business, turned around to open the door because it had like one of those like sliding lock things, and it wouldn't open. And I was trying to open this door, and then I was like banging and screaming, hello, which is really strange because it's like two people working there. Nobody was like, oh, where's he gone? And no one came to my rescue. I was like, oh. And I had no signal on my phone, so I couldn't like ring anyone. But I had the Wi-Fi. So I was like, oh, what do I do? So I WhatsApped Jacob, and I was like, Jacob, please can you call the restaurant and tell them I'm locked in the toilet? So Jacob had to call up the restaurant and they thought he was ordering something. Like, hello, how can I help? Hi, one of your staff members is locked in the toilet.
Oh, no!
What? How do you know this? And then they came and helped me get out the toilet. And that was my awkward moment.
Oh yeah, that is a bit awkward.
That is quite awkward. I have also an awkward story, and it also relates to a toilet. I sense the theme to that
toilet one too.
Oh no, okay, let's do all three and see how we go. I was in Brighton many years ago now with all this traveling, and we'd been out for lunch, and I said, okay, I'll quickly pop to the loo and then we can carry on and get down to the pavilion and do our walk or whatever. So I went down to the loo. It was all very nice, not a cabin at all, very fancy. I went in and also did my business, but as you guys know, I tend to favor wearing skirts and dresses, and a lot of them, Matthew, with tulle, so they have quite a lot of layers about them. So everyone was kind of, well, come on, we need to get going because we need to be somewhere. So I kind of got ready in a bit of a rush. So I kind of pulled up my little tights that I was wearing, and unbeknownst to me, I caught several of the layers in the back of my tights. And I proceeded to walk up the stairs, past the kitchen, through the restaurant, with my skirt tucked into the back of my tights.
Oh, no.
Oh, brilliant.
And it was only when I got there that Auntie C, dear Auntie C in Brighton, said, oh dear, Tracy, what's going on here? And she was kind of unhooking and fluffing me up again. Oh my goodness, well, that was quite awkward. And I'd only had one glass of wine at lunch.
There's a fine line between awkward and embarrassing, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. But anyway, that was my awkward moment / embarrassing.
As far as toilets were concerned.
As far as toilets go.
Well, see, I think I probably need another program just dedicated to my awkward moments historically, because they've kind of followed me wherever I've gone. I suspect I'm probably the instigator of most of them. But I'm going to tell you, because as we're talking toilets here, so I'm just going to quickly tell you. And it's not so much me, it's more of a girlfriend of mine. Many moons ago, when I was living in Portugal, I had a girlfriend who, whenever we went out, she would have a few too many, go to the toilet and fall asleep on the toilet. And it was a regular occurrence that we would have to go to the manager of the bar or the club that we were in and say, I'm really sorry, but my friend is locked in the toilet. You're going to have to bash the door down. And they would have to try and break the door down. And there she would be with her knickers round her ankles, just...
Oh,
Sleep on the toilet.
Oh,
That's
bless
always
her.
awkward. And that happened quite a lot. She will remain nameless, but if she's watching, then she'll know who exactly she is. So, but she will remain nameless. Ellie's in the house. Good evening, Ellie. Nice to have you with us. I hope you are well. We're talking about awkward moments. If anybody wants to share, then this is the place to do it. Please feel like you want to offload.
Unburden yourself. Tell us your stories.
Indeed. It's a safe space.
I think we'll need an extra hour of the show. People can offload completely. That sounds bizarre. Offload completely. Anyway, yes. So as we said, we've got the food truck Rozana turning up later, so we'll be having a nibbly time with them. We've also got all our usual titty bitties and this day in histories and Matt Goes Dutchies and all those kind of things going on. But before we get that far, I think it's probably time for Matt's review.
Yay.
This, you know what? I've been getting feedback about this particular segment. People are liking this segment. People are liking it a lot. I hope you're enjoying it, Matt. Do you feel?
It depends on the music.
Well, yes, I suppose it probably does. But do you feel it's actually expanding your knowledge of music?
I mean, I think a bit. The problem I have is I can never remember. If I hear a song, I'm like, oh, I know that song. No idea what it's called, who sang it, where I heard it. So I don't have a memory for music, I think. It's the problem I have. But yeah, I don't think so.
I would say you're a guy who knows what he likes when it comes to music, though.
Yeah.
And we've learned something, I would say. When you say, Tracy, I think we've learned something about Matt, because there's been some surprises there, especially the revelation that he was into that, was it rock guitar game thing?
Yes,
Guitar
ACDC.
Guitar Hero. Wasn't expecting that at all. So, and if anybody's got any video footage of Matt playing air guitar, that would be great.
Please delete it right now.
So this week I asked Matt to review a pretty new album from an old band, because this is a band who were sort of late 70s. They were in their heyday, I would say. Haven't heard much from them for a while, but they produced this new album that came out a couple of years ago, which I personally thought it was an absolutely cracking album. I was really, really pleasantly surprised. We're talking about the Boomtown Rats. We handed it over to Matt to listen to, and I said to him at the time, you know, there's a lot of mixture of genres there, but, you know, I just thought it was a really, really good album. So I'm very interested to hear what Matt has to say. What did you think?
Well, it was a bit mixed. Some of them I really didn't like. Some of them, yeah, I didn't mind. Some of them were sort of quite rocky, actually. Like lots of guitars and like every sort of beat. I quite like those ones. Like, there was one about a monkey, something called Monkey. I can't remember one of them.
Excellent.
You'll know, if you know this album, you'll know which one I'm talking about. It was Monkey something. My other like peeve about this album actually was a lot of the songs are quite long, like between 4 and 5 minutes, which personally I find is a bit too long for a song. But
attention span of the 21st
I'm the younger generation.
Gosh, we better not give him any Pink Floyd to listen to. They go on for quite a while.
Yeah, let's go down the prog rock avenue. That's basically on one side of an album. We are talking vinyl. You just had one track basically. So yeah, 15, 20 minutes.
So it was interesting. But this album came out last March, so it's only a year old.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And I read it's the first album since 36 years or something.
Yeah.
God, it's shocking, but it's been that long, isn't it, since they were around? Christ.
Well, Gildoff's been a bit busy, you know. He's had stuff.
Yeah, he has a very distinctive voice, though. You can tell, it's him singing. He's on it. So I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah. And where were you listening to it?
I was cooking.
Of course.
Okay.
Of
What a
course.
shock, Joe. What a shock. Revelation. Matt was cooking.
Standard.
That's for the t-shirt as well. Matt was cooking.
Right. So, Boomtown Rats album. Welcome to Boomtown. You were cooking. You kind of liked a bit of it. You didn't like another bit of it. What do you give it out of 10? How many Matthews out of 10?
I think I'm going to give it a 7.
That's good.
Joe, that's not
Good.
bad at all.
That's fine. I'm happy with that because yeah, it's one of those. I really don't know. I like it. I know it hasn't been a massive hit, but yeah, okay, 7's good. Excellent. Okay, lovely stuff. So if anybody else out there has been listening to the latest Boomtown Rats album, please do let us know what you think as well. Tracy now has got an album for Matt's review for the coming week. What have you got for him, Tracy?
I have. I think I might be able to help Matt out with the non-long songs. These are all quite short songs, Matthew. I'm taking you back to the 1960s.
Ooh.
Now, I struggled with which album to pick because this band had a lot of songs and a lot of albums and hits in the US, in Asia, in Europe. I mean, these were huge in the time, and even today, still, you know, having a lot of kudos, very well recognized, but very big back in the day, back in the 60s. Some might say they were even bigger than Jesus.
Ah.
Joe now knows who we're talking about.
Yes.
I have chosen for you this evening, Matthew, to introduce you to the fabulous The Beatles.
Ah.
Contain your excitement. Now, there's, as Joe will confirm, there's a huge number of albums. One of my favorite songs is Taxman, which is on the album Revolver, which I believe was recommended as an option for you recently. But I thought I'd go easy on you and pick out kind of a safer option for you. So I've chosen an album that features a lot of their #1 singles and is called...
Oh, that's cheating, Tracy.
Not at all. This is an album.
Actually, there's a lot on there.
There's a lot. There are 27 songs on here, and that's just a tiny amount of their repertoire. I don't love all of them myself. There's a couple that I think, well, I would have replaced that with something else. But if you don't know the Beatles very well, or if you're just getting into them, I think it's a good place to start before you start having white albums and blue albums and red albums and Abbey Road and all these kinds of things. So this is what I've chosen for you, Matthew. It's one from the Beatles. It's been remastered, so the sound is really cool. And I've been playing this in the last couple of days on repeat. It's fabulous. I love Paperback Writer, Day Tripper, Come Together, The Long and Winding Road. It's a lovely mix of ballads, sad songs, upbeat songs, and I think you might like it, Matthew.
Okay, I will let you know.
Okay. Well, do you know what? I think Tracy's right. It's a good introduction to the Beatles. I wouldn't have picked it myself. I would have been a bit stricter and gone for a studio album personally, but yeah, I think it's there's some good stuff in there. But the Ballad of John and Yoko is probably one of my favourites on that album. Actually, that's a good one because it's the story about all the stuff that they had to put up with as a couple. But yeah, okay. Well, that's going to be interesting. 27 songs.
I might skip a few.
No.
They're all about 2 minutes long. They're really short.
Yeah, as Tracy says, a lot of them are short actually. So and a lot of them are karaoke favourites. So I suspect that some earworms in there for sure. Some earworms. So okay, well that's Matt's album to review for the coming week. Peter's in the house. Hello, Peter. Lovely to have you with us. Good evening. I think it's probably time actually to sort of chill down a little bit now. What do you think? Do you think so?
I'm ready.
Should we go all zen like?
Yep.
Shall we? Okay, so as the whole of Maastricht comes to a grinding halt, or maybe slows down just a bit more than it already is, because it's kind of stopped anyway.
It's not yet curfew, but people are going home at this point, I think. Yeah,
They certainly are. So as they're going home and they're winding down and maybe putting the kettle on, putting their feet up, and they're chilling in their favourite comfy chair with a Maastricht Edition mug. It is time for This Day in
History.
Actually, I think that was kind of better.
Huh?
I think there was a slight improvement.
It's the percussion, maybe.
It's
We
what
need
it
to have-
is.
We need instruments. Hurrah!
Oh, no.
Somewhere if you want.
I really don't know if we need instruments. Oh, goodness. Get out your cowbell.
Oh, but no, we could ask that we could do a cover, because at the moment it's all these shanty songs that are the rage, you know? We could have a shanty song version of This Day in History. I'm not quite sure how it would start, but you know.
I have no idea at all. Anyway, today it is Thursday, the 18th of March, the day after Paddy's Day. That's what it's known as, the day after Paddy's Day. And on this day, the day after Paddy's Day, in 1662 was the first public bus service, which was promoted by Blaise Pascal and operated in Paris until 1675. Now, buses. Are there actually any buses running in Maastricht at the moment? Have we seen any?
I think some of them are running, but they're on very reduced schedules and they're not going to all the stops anymore. So I think it really depends on which route line you need.
Yeah,
I have seen buses, but
I know
not many.
whenever we have been out in the car, I've noticed these bags over the top of some bus stops that are saying, you know, we're not stopping here. But I don't know. Maybe the people are still using the buses, but I think it makes people a little bit uncomfortable at the moment getting on a bus. So I can't imagine that there is the need for many of them at the moment. But I certainly haven't seen it. Well, not that you see many buses here anyway. I see more cows than buses here. And and I forgot to tell you. Oh my goodness! Quickly, guess what I saw outside my front door this week? A peacock.
I knew it.
2 peacocks. They're back. So Captain Peacock was back outside the front door. For those of you who are watching, it was around about this time last year. Actually, you would have known that I got invaded by about 5 or 6 peacocks for about 2 weeks. And at one point during the show, they actually even came into the kitchen here while we were broadcasting.
They did. I remember it. It was one of our best shows.
yeah, it was great. It was absolutely great. So yes, they live over yonder, and their owner locked them up again, stopped them from escaping. But Captain Peacock found his way out and landed on my front doorstep this week. So that was a bit of a shock. Anyway, we must move on. I digress. In 1847, on this very day, the first Dutch public telegram was sent, and in 1881. Barnum and Bailey Circus, the travelling circus known as the greatest show on earth, debuted at Madison Square Garden in New York City and would last for 146 years before closing in 2017. I can't remember the last time I went to a circus. That wasn't Cirque du Soleil, that is. I think that's probably the most recent one I went to a few years ago. But yes, it's been a long time. Certainly when I was a kid, it was quite an exciting thing. But of course, now that you're not, you can't have animals in them, and rightly so. It's all just about juggling and.
It's about clowns, and this is why I do not.
Yeah, that's that problem as well. We don't like clowns. We've made that perfectly clear on the Maastricht Edition. We're not clown fans. We're not.
No clowns.
In 1891, Britain is linked to the continent by telephone. And in 1900, Ajax Soccer Club forms in Amsterdam. On this day in 1902, Italian operatic tenor Enrico Caruso becomes the first well-known performer to make a record. And on the 18th of March in 1931, the first electric shavers go on sale in the US. Now, Matt, I come to you. Are you an electric shaver?
Yes.
You are?
I never use a manual one.
No?
Oh, okay.
I'm too lazy.
Okay. and without wanting to be too personal, what are you shaving these days? Because
Sometimes.
because there's not. Is it just a case of keeping it tidy? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I'm supposed to need to lift it up and that I often forget because I don't go anywhere and it doesn't really matter. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. In 1948, on this very day, this is a bizarre one, Philips begin experimental TV broadcasting. Now, I read this and I thought, do I want to investigate this some more? And I decided, no. I'm just going to sit there. They began experimental TV broadcasting, imagine what you will, in 1948. I don't think I want to know.
In Eindhoven.
Sorry?
In Eindhoven.
There you go. So, well, yeah, maybe you can find out for us, Matt, as you're based there. But as I said, I don't think I want to know. Experimental TV broadcasting, that conjures up all kinds of images. On this day in 1965, the Rolling Stones were all fined £5 each for public urination.
Oh, gosh. £5.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, I know it was in 1965, but £5, I don't think it broke the bank somewhat.
Not for the Stones, no.
No, not for the Stones. In 1965, on this very day, cosmonaut Alexei Leonov left his spacecraft Vauxhall 2 for 12 minutes, making him the first person to walk in space. Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
You're not bothered, Matt?
No.
We better cancel that birthday gift order, Joe. We might be going down the wrong track. Oops.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Oh well, I'll go. I'm happy to go.
Let's just go.
You can see a team day out, Matt. Team day out.
Well, no, I come if we're all going, but I mean, I'm not fussed personally. I mean, if I had to pay for it, but no.
Nah. Okay. In 1987, on this day, a Gerber survey finds that the most popular names for newborns are Jessica and Matthew.
Oh, it's a good name, that.
1987, that was.
1987.
A couple of years later, in 89, in Egypt, a 4,400-year-old mummy is found in the Pyramid of Cheops. I probably pronounced that wrong. Cheops.
I thought you said choose. I thought.
Cheops. I am quite convinced I've pronounced that wrong. So if there's any Egyptians out there that are watching, please do correct me, because I'm sure it's not Cheops.
Sounds like you're sneezing.
They're Cheops. The Pyramid of Cheops. A year later, in 1990, the largest art robbery in US history. 13 works of art worth over $500 million are stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. And in 2002, the Ramones are inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And a year later, on this very day, the British Sign Language is recognised as an official British language. Now, it was only this week, actually, that I was chatting with an American deaf friend of mine, and we were talking about the differences in British Sign Language and American Sign Language. Yeah. She says it's pretty much the same. There's a handful of differences, but it is pretty much the same. But that's very much like British English and American English, if you will.
I also believe that in American Sign Language, I think they do everything with one hand, and with British Sign Language, they tend to use the two hands to form the words and phrases. But I'm open to correction on that one.
Well, I will have a chat with my friend about that.
Please do.
In 2018, Portuguese soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo records his 50th career hat-trick in Real Madrid's 6-3 win over Girona. Good for him. And finally, in 2019, champion racing pigeon Armando, the Lewis Hamilton of pigeons, sells for a record $1.42 million in Belgium.
What runs? That's a lot of money for a pigeon.
Really?
He must be so pampered, like a pigeon palace for him somewhere.
Oh yes, they take it very seriously.
They do.
Someone to clip his nails.
Armando.
Armando.
$1.42 million.
Oh, what? Oh, we entered the lottery this week. You know, the stats lot here in the Netherlands. I think there was like a jackpot of something like 30 million euros. And we won 750.
Well done. Congratulations.
Yay! The ticket itself cost 30 or something, so we made a loss.
Actually,
15 or something, I'm not sure.
How much to buy a pigeon for? Maybe it might be a good investment. $7 or €7 for a pigeon. It might be worth it. Birthdays. In 1932, F.W.D. Clerk, the South African president, was born. In 1941, Wilson Pickett, American R&B singer, he was born in Alabama. Vanessa Williams, the first African-American Miss America, was born on this date in 1963. Queen Latifah, the American rapper and actress, born in 1970. And finally, in 1979, Adam Levine, the American singer who can move like Mick Jagger, he was born. And finally, Anouk. Anouk, voters of Mr. Robert de Koning. Yes, it's her birthday tomorrow. One Winkle Wit. They will be celebrating her birthday tomorrow there with a glass or two of some very nice wine.
They're in the right place for a glass or two, and a very nice
very
one.
much the right place. So happy birthday from everyone here at the Maastricht Edition.
And a happy birthday to my little brother. So happy birthday.
There you go. Happy birthday to him. What's his name?
Daniel.
Daniel, happy birthday. And happy birthday to anybody else who's celebrating a birthday today. And that was this day in history.
Well done.
There go.
Very nice.
So yes, it's all about pigeons. So I'm going to go out in the garden tomorrow, wrestle a pigeon, and stick it on eBay. See what happens.
Oh, poor pidgeys. I see them every day. They come in our garden. When you live in the city, I think they also kind of float around, don't they? Well,
we do have our ducks back. Our resident ducks come back every year. Mr. and Mrs. Duckface. They're back again. So it's nice to see them.
Yeah. Lovely.
So here we are. It's 1933. I think it's time for the news. Are you ready for the news, Tracy?
I am ready to go.
The news with Tracy Taylor.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's March 18th, and you're watching the Maastricht Edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather. We may have to wait a little longer for springtime. Over the coming days, it is expected to remain dry and bright, but daytime temperatures will only reach 5 degrees, and there is a chance of freezing at night. Some rain is also expected on Sunday. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight, and the European Medicines Agency is preparing to give its verdict on whether or not the AstraZeneca vaccine is safe to continue using, following its suspension by 13 member states due to concerns about a possible link to blood clots. However, the regulator and the World Health Organization have already said the benefits of receiving the vaccine outweigh any potential risk. The European Union has announced a plan to set up a travel certificate to help restore freedom of movement for citizens inoculated against the coronavirus. The certificate will show whether the person has been vaccinated, has had a recent negative test, or has recovered from COVID-19. The certificate is intended to help revive the EU's multi-billion tourism and leisure industry. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte said he was very proud when speaking online with supporters of his VVD party last evening, following projections to be the largest vote winner in the parliamentary elections. If exit poll results are accurate, it will be the fourth straight victory for Rutte, paving the way for him to form the next coalition government. The parliament elections had Netherlands residents glued to their screens on Wednesday, with the Nos Journaal broadcast at 8 p.m. having over 2.8 million viewers. In other news, Public Health Institute RIVM has warned Netherlands residents to beware of food supplements and teas containing St. John's wort. The herb is said to help with mood disorders and sleep problems, but can also interfere with medicines. St. John's wort can also be harmful on its own and cause dizziness and anxiety. Dutch mayors will not be issuing any permits for major events in the Netherlands until at least May 6th. This means that King's Day on April 27th and Liberation Day on May 5th will again not be celebrated on a large scale this year. The pandemic moved these celebrations online in 2020. And it was confirmed today that Rock Werchter has been cancelled again this year due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. The Belgian Music Festival hopes to return in June 2022. And the biggest and most expensive shopping centre in the Netherlands opened its doors today, 3 years later and 160 million euros more than planned. The Mall of the Netherlands can be found near the A4 motorway at Leidschendam and will aim to give shoppers a world of experience. However, given the current lockdown, all bars, cafes and cinemas will remain shut, and the 300 shops can only accept customers by appointment. And the Keukenhof would normally have been opening this Saturday, but due to the lockdown, it's not allowed. This is the second year that the famous Dutch flower park has had to remain closed, with a loss of millions of euros. And according to a recent study, it seems Dutch men and Latvian women are the tallest people in the world. Height is a model for genetic traits and it's easy to measure, so these studies hope to give a blueprint to identify genetic modifications, the growth factor gene, and to learn more about diseases. And finally tonight, it seems the bat count this year has been cancelled due to the coronavirus. This means that no indication can be made on the status of bats in Maastricht. That said, according to most recent figures, things do seem to be going well for the bat, but we must still be careful not to weaken the protective measures for these beautiful flying mammals. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to the website of our partner, maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Lovely stuff, Tracy.
Thanks.
So, Latvian women.
Yes.
Who knew?
Who knew? And Dutch men isn't a surprise. I think they are quite known for being quite tall.
Yes.
Not in Maastricht. It's only up north they tend to get tall, don't they?
Yeah, it's the people who are from the Holland part, I guess, you know, so maybe
Yes.
in the north.
Different atmosphere.
The air is different, maybe.
The air is different.
Yeah.
Makes them grow.
Makes them grow very tall.
Yes. But yes, down this neck of the woods, it's. I shouldn't say disappointing, should I?
Yeah.
But
no, I guess. But apparently, though, all nationalities and generations, everyone is becoming taller and taller as we go along.
Yes.
So in another 20 years, even us Irish might be tall. So you know, hurrah!
Yeah, you never know. But Latvian women, hey, does that mean all the Latvian men are shorter then?
I'm not sure. Maybe they compare the women with the women in the rest of the study, and they came out on top. Excuse the pun.
So, well, any Latvians out there? Well, I don't know what you could share with us. How tall you are? I don't know. I mean, really, I don't know enough about Latvian women to be able to comment about the tallness of them, because I need a group. Do we have a group of Latvian women out there? Are they there? Come on, share us your height and no, I don't know where I'm going with this. I think what we should do is maybe get our guest on. I think it's time to talk about vegan food trucks and cheese and all kinds of yumminess. Yes. So we've got Salah, who's supposed to be joining us now, and there we go. Hello, Salah.
Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, it's so nice to have you here. It's great stuff. We understand that this evening you've been very busy and you've kind of run over here to do the show with us.
Exactly. Actually, like I was busy the whole day, so even for the sound check, I couldn't have time. So, Sana made it.
Well, we're very pleased to have you on the show. So, welcome. So, first of all, let's get something cleared up here, because the food truck itself is called Rozana, and you are not Rozana.
No.
Who is Rozana?
Rozana is named after my little niece. She's our lucky mascot. So the logo and the name is actually her.
Excellent. Okay, so your niece is Rozana, and it's your business, the food truck. So let's maybe go back a little bit. I have a suspicion from your accent that maybe you're not from this part of the world. So maybe you can explain to us how where you're from and how you ended up in Maastricht.
Yeah, I'm actually half Syrian, half Tunisian. I was born in Tunisia but raised in Syria. And we came here in 2016, and that's where it all started. And the accent is still in progress.
So is that a whole family? Is it a big family enterprise?
No, actually, it's only my little family and my sister with her husband and Rozana, of course.
Oh, of course. Excellent. So whose idea was it? Were you doing this back home before you came here? Or was it just one of those evenings while you're sitting around having a drink thinking, what could we do?
Yeah, actually, we're actually still amateurs in this. This is our first business food regarded. And it came out because my little sister tried to be vegan for a while. And the options were so few. And we thought about it and we said, we actually have a good combination between...
Sorry to interrupt you. We've got Tracy's Dave running around here in the background there.
Ignore me. Without getting excitable here, I have a technical issue. The battery is about to die. And I called in emergency tech services here to plug me in, so to speak. But carry on, I'm still here.
This is what we have over the past year. These are the COVID problems that we have to deal with of not being in the studio anymore and having to broadcast online. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant. So anyway.
Yeah, we decided that we actually have a lot of options between Tunisia and Syria regarding vegan food, and we actually wanted to introduce it in our special touch, like a bit of everything. And that's how we came up with this idea. We actually split tasks, as my sister, the chef, her husband is the telemarketer and multimedia. My little brother is the accountant, and I'm kind of the face. Nothing more.
Are you trying to tell us you're the pretty one?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow, it sounds cool. It's wonderful when it's such a family affair, isn't it? Everybody mixing in together and helping out.
Of course. And the problem is, as long as we're going as a family, we actually don't want anyone out as an outsider, let me say. We actually have the chemistry, we know what we're doing, and everyone knows its role in everything. So we're kind of glad that we did it as a family. Oh,
lovely. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty here, because I don't know anything about Syrian food. I don't know about Tunisian food. What are we talking about here? You said that there's a connection with vegan food. So what kind of food are we talking about?
Yeah, actually in Syria, the most traditional food is falafel. You can go anywhere and eat it. And that's super vegan and fully fulfilling. One falafel is enough for one lunch. So that was the main idea.
I'll be the judge of that. But for those out there who are not familiar with falafel, could you explain what it is?
Yeah, it's actually a mix of chickpeas, crushed chickpeas with a lot of herbs and condiments. It's fried in oil and served with in a pita bread with the tahini sauce, some vegetables, and sumac.
Oh, it's great. It's a great meal.
Yeah, this is the bit that we miss about not being in the studio, because when we were in the studio, we often invite our guests who supply food and drink to maybe bring a little something for us to try in the studio. And we can't do that at the moment. So we're all sitting here dribbling with this idea of this delicious falafel. But I'm sure it's not just falafel. What else have you got there?
We have the traditional tapas or side dishes of Syria, like hummus, baba ganoush, tabbouleh. It's the freshest salad you will eat in the whole world, and it's just a picnic salad. We also have some baguette farcie. That's a Tunisian kind of special dough filled with, actually it's filled with meat and everything, but we made it as a vegan with meat substitute. We have also couscous salad. We decided to add some Western touch, so we added some panini and some sandwiches, chorizo. a bit of everything. It's
Wow.
we wanted to actually make it as suitable as possible for everyone, especially here for students and foreigners. So a little bit of everything, some cultural mixing.
Oh, I don't know about you, Tracy, but I'm really getting hungry here.
Well, I'm getting hungry, and I have a very important question. Now, we're talking about a food truck here. You guys you're based in Maastricht, right? The truck drives around. Where can I find you?
No, it's actually stable. We were actually located for a couple of months in Belfort, Maastricht, but now we're starting permanently in Caberg. Yeah, Caberg, Maastricht. It's in front of Plus.
Okay.
We're open every day from 12 till 9, except Wednesday.
Okay. Interesting. So the idea is people will come to the Caberg location. They can pick up their food to go, and that's how it will be. Interesting.
You do delivery?
Yeah. So if you guys are hungry, just let me call the guys, and it will be there in a minute.
Aha!
If Dave hadn't been slaving on a risotto for the last hour, I might have taken you up on that. However, we don't have lunch plans tomorrow, so you might well see us passing by. It sounds because it's I don't follow a vegan diet, but I am following pretty much a vegetarian diet with the odd bit of fish thrown in, but I don't eat meat. So it's very interesting to learn about these sort of veggie options that you can get that are so full of flavor, and also to try these cuisines from different parts of the world. So it's really, really exciting.
That was the idea, actually. The lack of options here is what made us think about the whole thing.
But if we actually went to Tunisia or Syria, how likely are we actually to see these food? Would you class them as authentic to the country? Is this something like a street food that you would see everywhere walking around?
Let me put it this way. Falafel is the Syrian stampot.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
So that would be, it's the same thing as an Irish stew or an English custard pie or something. I see. It's like a giant world, and we're all the same in the end.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
So when did you actually start the truck?
Last September.
September.
Yeah, the plan was actually to open before the summer, but due to the corona crisis and a bit of a financial situation, I didn't manage to open it till September.
But this is a COVID success story, because to start a business in the middle of this pandemic, I mean, it's it's genius, I think, because food, of course, is the one thing that we still have to have. I mean, we don't have to have a new pair of knickers or a new handbag, but we do have to have food, and also having something that can be delivered to our house has worked really well over the past year. So my suspicion would be that as soon as you opened, you probably were flooded with people.
Yeah, I actually did an opening day where I gave everything for free for people to try it out. And luckily our prices is really student suitable. So for €3 you can get one falafel, which is enough. And we got lucky.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic news. It really is. Now, before you go this evening, I did mention to you there was one particular subject that we wanted to discuss, and that is cheese. Because here at the Maastricht Edition, mainly Tracy, I would say, has probably tried the odd vegan wine, vegan dish, just to find out if it was comparable, if it was at least tasty. And something that we seem to be in agreement with, as far as vegan cheese is concerned, we're struggling to find a good vegan cheese. Now, does it actually exist?
Believe me, we struggled as well before finding something. The thing is, vegan cheese is really not suitable for everything. We went on 3 weeks tryouts from different burgers, different combinations, different types of cheese, and we ended up with 2 or 3 types of cheese, each suitable for one sandwich. Like we have a burger with mushroom, has a different vegan cheese. We now have an American burger with cheddar, which is also, let me say, cheddar is super terrible without anything.
Oh,
So we added the right combination till it was eatable. And yeah, we have different cheese to put on sandwiches and panini.
Okay.
But and alone, the cheese itself is not so eatable.
Okay. Well, at least
okay.
we've got that cleared up. So if we're going to have vegan cheese, we have to have it with a falafel.
Yeah. or a vegan burger or mixed with something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The right sauce and the right topping.
But we're laying the gauntlet down here. This is a challenge to everybody who's listening. If you find some good vegan cheese, you've got to come on the show and tell us all about it, because we're really struggling to find it. Salah, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show. We wish you all the luck with your food truck going forward. Just remind everybody, if they want to have some food from you, where do they find you? How do they order?
We're actually located in Caberg, Maastricht, in front of Plus. We're also reachable via Bezorg and WhatsApp for delivery. And we're having an updated menu. So on Saturday, we have a tasting day, so everyone is welcome to try some stuff for free.
Excellent. That's this.
We added vegan lasagna and a few other stuff. And for all the viewers of the Maastricht Edition, once you mention the show, you will get a free meal, free surprise for the new menu.
Fantastic. Salah, thank you so much indeed. We shall make sure that this gets posted onto our social media at the end of the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's very sad that unfortunately Matt and myself are outside of the city, but Tracy, she's our man on the ground, and we're gonna get her over there this weekend for sure, and she will report back to us, no doubt. And as soon as we're allowed to come and visit you, Matt and I will be there like a shot, I can assure you.
I've got my knife and fork ready.
Yes, he's all set. He's all set. Thanks again, Salah. All the best to your family, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a good evening, guys.
Thank you, darling.
Bye.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
Really sweet.
It's a good thing I've already eaten.
I know. Oh my goodness, that sounded so good, doesn't it? And how cool of them to start up a business September 2020, you know? My goodness.
It just goes to show. But they were on the right track there, getting some interesting, good food out there. We've just had a message here from Neil. He says it's tasty food. Why is the truck not by the Plus anymore? I assume he means the supermarket.
Yes, the Plus is the supermarket, but they were in a different location initially, and I'm not quite sure then. Yes, but I think if you check on their social page, you can find all of the information. They've got some links and information there. So
we'll get that all posted, Neil. Don't you worry. But excellent. And as he said, if you pop along this weekend, they've got a tasting day going on Saturday, and if you mention the Maastricht Edition, you will get a free meal. So brilliant. Not bad, is it? Not bad at all. But Tracy will be going along for sure this weekend, and we'll get some pictures. She'll be taking pictures of the falafel, I'm sure, from all kinds of interesting angles, as Tracy does.
There you go. Oh gosh, there you go. Well, indeed, and also don't forget, these guys also deliver to your home. So if you have Thursday-Tuesday, you don't even need to leave your sofa. So no excuses.
No excuses at all. And as we were discussing actually before the show came on, the three of us are kind of being sort of extra antisocial these days. We've kind of got to the stage where, well, this is life now. We're not going to leave the house ever again, so we might as well just stay here and get everything delivered. So.
I'm on first name terms with the Thursday-Tuesday guy. He's going to pop round on my birthday and everything.
We're all turning into mushrooms. That's what we are. We're a family of mushrooms. So I think it's probably time for Matt to go Dutch.
Yeah.
Yes.
What have you got
I'm going
for us
very
this week,
Dutch
Matt?
today. Very Dutch, because I'm going to talk about the Dutch election results.
Oh. Yes,
Because
it was
I
the
spoke to you about
yesterday.
the run-up to it, the parties involved, how it works, etc.
Yes.
And yesterday was the final election day. There was elections started on Monday for elderly and vulnerable groups of people, and on Tuesday as well, I think. And then yesterday was when most people went to do their voting. So, what are the results? Well, actually, it was very interesting that 81% of people turned out to vote, eligible voters, 81%, which is really, really high if you consider it. Like for the UK, for example, it's a lot lower compared to this, which is 81%. So I thought it was quite impressive considering we're in the middle of a pandemic as well. Of course, you could also send a postal vote. So I'm not sure what the percentage of postal votes were, but you could also send a postal vote if you wanted. But the biggest party, unsurprisingly, remains the VVD, the party of Mark Rutte. As Tracy said, Rutte is now going to be Prime Minister again, and it will be his fourth term in office, which I think is a bit crazy, to be honest. So the party won 36 seats, 3 more than in the last election. So Mark Rutte and his team will be responsible for forming the next coalition government. And that's sort of despite the fact that the government handling of the pandemic was a bit slow. The rollout of the vaccination program was quite slow, but the vote is seen as sort of a vote of confidence in the VVD and Mark Rutte and his government. And also the government resigned last month due to a tooth-lack affair. It doesn't seem to have affected them. They got more seats, more support. But people think, well, the political people, they think that people were looking for stability during these difficult times, and they're looking for someone who has proven experience as a leader. And of course, Mark Rutte has been Prime Minister 3 times already. So we need someone who can rebuild the economy and sort everything out. And people see Mark Rutte as a very stable, safe sort of figure, and that's sort of won the day. But in second place, we have the D66, the D66, who are the progressive pro-European party, under Sigrid Kaag, who's a former UN diplomat. And they won 24 seats. That is 5 more seats. And I'm saying these numbers, they're still counting the votes, so it's not the exact. But they're quite safe with the second largest party. So they will definitely be in government in some form. And it's thought that they won the votes from the left-wing parties that had huge losses. So the GroenLinks party, which is the sort of the green left, green economic policy, they lost half their seats. They had 14, they now have 7. And also the Social Party, the Socialist Party, also lost like half their seats. So the left is not doing very well in this election, which is not really surprising because the things they sort of vote around is not really what's going on at the moment. But unfortunately, that means that, well, in my opinion, unfortunately, that means the far-right parties had huge gains. So actually, the PVV, which is the far-right party of Geert Wilders, they are currently the 3rd largest party, so still one of the largest parties in the Netherlands. They lost 3 seats. But the Forum for Democracy, which is another far-right party, gained 8 seats. They had 2 in the last election. They currently have 8. That is the party that sort of publicizes these coronavirus conspiracy theories and lots of other sort of related stuff. And then there's another far-right party called JA21. They gained 4 seats. So that means in combination, they far outnumber the left in government, in the parliament rather. They also had the Volt, which is the new emerging pan-European party. They're very pro-European, and it's seen as a huge victory for them because they won 3 seats. So that's they didn't stand in the last election, and they already have 3 seats, which, when you consider all the other parties losing seats, is quite a good turnout for them. So now what happens? So to form a government, to form a coalition, Rutte needs 76 seats. So his party have 36, and the D66 have 24, and they might form a government with the CDA, which is the Christian Democratic Party, and that would get them up to 75 seats. So they need 1 more seat. So then the question is, who else will be in the coalition? And it might be GroenLinks, it might be the PvdA, or it might be the newcomer Volt, or it may be the old coalition partner, the Christian Union, who won 4 seats. So we don't know what's going to happen. Rutte has ruled out working with the PVV and the Forum for Democracy. So it's going to be one of the other parties. And as we are in the middle of a pandemic and an economic crisis, Rutte is really wanting to form this government as quickly as possible. So we might know in the next few weeks, but it has been known to take over 200 days. After the last election, I think it took 208 days to form the government. So that's like, I don't know, 7 months or 8 months. Hopefully it won't take that long this time, and we shall find out what's going to happen soon. But yeah, that is the Dutch election result. You can find more information on all the different news channels. On the NOS, for example, they have a really helpful map. If you want to know what happens in your local area, you can see exactly who voted for what in Maastricht. So yeah, I encourage you all to find out what happened, because it will affect you.
Very true, very true. But it does get a little bit confusing, doesn't it, with so many parties. So thank you for clearing that up. It's the last couple of weeks explaining what the parties represent, and this week how the government is formed does make things a little clearer. So thank you for that, Matt. We're almost at the end of the show. Tracy, got any titty bitches for us this week?
Very quickly then, normally I would bring you some weekly event highlights courtesy of our partner, #Maastricht, but as you know, there's not a huge pile going on. However, they do have a sister company which is called Merchandise House of B, and they are open for online shopping and so on.
Hey.
So if you're into kind of manga and anime and kind of merchandise from movies and things, these guys, they're a local company. They're also selling on Amazon, on ball.com, I believe, so you can certainly support them and maybe find something interesting on there. They also have Game of Thrones stuff, which is still very, very cool. So that's a small thing. And one other thing, this Saturday, the 20th of March, Supporter von Schoon is organising a cleaning campaign, and Stay OK Maastricht, amongst other companies, is actually participating. Stay OK will supply one of these grab stick things, gloves in the garbage bag, and you can pop along and basically help collect litter and rubbish that's kind of lying around the city, really. During previous editions of this event, there was a sort of a fixed route to follow, but now with COVID, they're kind of approaching it in a slightly different way. Obviously, all of the safety measures will be in place, and masks should probably be worn. But if you do want to participate in this on Saturday and help out and give a couple of hours between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. to clean up a small section of the city, you can sign up on supportervonschoon.nl. They also have an Instagram account. We'll share that in the post-show post, so you can check it out and see if it's interesting.
Excellent stuff. I'm assuming that there probably isn't as much rubbish at the moment because not so many people have been about, but
wow.
Be surprised, Joe, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of the whole discussion with them. A lot of these bins are getting filled very quickly, and then people are kind of piling stuff around it. And sadly, the streets are full of bloody face masks now these days. If you're just walking around, you see them lying around, and I always think of the animals and things. I mean, they're getting wrapped up in those bloody elastic bands. At least cut the ears off or something.
Yeah. Well,
but
they probably blow into the masks.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff floating in the water there, and we've had some stormy weather of late, so you can imagine that things get moved around and stuff. So sadly, when the sun is out and people do come out and get together, it does tend to generate some refuse. Yeah. So I think the group on Saturday will have enough to do. Let's say that.
Yes. But it sounds like good fun just to use the sticky thing, because everybody.
I love one of those.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's just fun, isn't it? So yes, get out and collect a bit of rubbish for an hour with your sticky thing. It's well worth it for sure. Well, that's it. We've come to the end of the show. Thank you very much for everybody who joined us this evening. Thank you to Salah from Rozana's Food Truck. We got to the bottom of vegan cheese, kind of in a way. We still need to find out more, I fear, but he had us all dribbling here. So don't forget, if you want to go on Saturday, he's got a tasting day going on Saturday with a new menu, and if you mention the Maastricht Edition, you will get a free meal. So it's definitely worth popping along. We shall have all his details at the end of the show on our post-show posts. We should be back again next week. I don't think Tracy's got any other plans apart from rugby this weekend. So we'll find out what's going on next week with the rugby. The rest of us who have no interest in rugby at all, well, I don't know what I'm getting up to, but whatever you're getting up to, have a lovely weekend. We shall see you again next week, next Thursday. Thank you all of us from all of us here at the Maastricht Edition. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.